Hey guys, Chris Dunn here, aka the Boogie Man. All right, we're gonna wrap this 29 Ford Roadster up. If you've been following it, we rebuilt the steering box. Basically, the steering box is a 42 to a 48 Ford. I kind of like the steering box as far as the way it works, but this steering box had water in it. These older steering boxes had oil in them. They did not convert it to grease or anything. So basically what we done to that box is we machined where the steering shaft comes in and put a seal. We added grease fittings, and Dennis Carpenter has got a rebuild kit for this box. This is just awesome. It comes with new bushings, new rollers, the whole 9 yards, and it makes it into a new box. So the steering box now is 100% it's just crisp, and you can adjust it and it tightens it up. It works perfectly. If you want to see how we modified the steering box by installing a seal and adding the grease fittings, just leave in the comments and we will do a short video on what we done. We get so busy here, it is so hard lots of times to get all this video stuff done when we're trying to work too. Anytime y'all want to see something we done, just leave it in the comments and let us know and we'll take care of it. Now that that's done, if you notice, we've got the toe plates here. I've never owned a set of toe plates before. So about a week or two ago, I made me a set. I was in here on a Sunday by myself trying to set this toe, and I couldn't set it by myself. You know what I mean? And a lot of Sundays I work here because it's peaceful and I turn the radio up. So I went next door and we had some 1/8 aluminum, and I think that's about the best thing. It don't flex. Take you some 1/8 aluminum, break you a 90 on it, measure down, put you some slits in it, and go to the Lowe's or the Home Depot and buy you 2 matching tapes. And guess what? You got you a set of toe plates that a one man can do. I can sit here and adjust it, pull my tapes, and set my toe just perfect. This works good on a straight axle car doing it by yourself. If it's independent suspension, front end top car, you gotta roll it back and forth as you're setting the toe. The straight axle cars, you don't have to do that as much. So just keep that in mind. Just a good way to do stuff by yourself. Or if when you got somebody, it works out good. The last thing, well, this ain't really the last thing we're doing on the car, but it's the last thing we're going to talk about in video and put on YouTube, is we're building a set of headers for the car. And if you notice, here they are. This is the driver's side. Really ain't got the passenger side mocked up yet. I'm going to show you some tricks to building headers. Now, this is a simple set of headers. If you get real complicated, like on the Boogie Man, that'll be a different episode, because there's a lot of tricks to when you got pipes crossing over each other and going under each other. The thing about building a header is you have got to think 10 steps ahead. If you do not think 10 steps ahead, you will end up building you a set of headers that you forgot to weld 2 pieces together, that's back over here, through the creek, over the hollow, across the mountain, and through the valley, and you can't get to it. When you get into real complicated headers, there's a lot of mocking up, taking them back apart, welding areas, then putting back, and we'll get into that some other time. These headers are a very simple set of headers that just about anybody could do at home. If you got a MIG and you got a Dremel tool or a little die grinder, and it's just a procedure I go through that makes it real easy. The number one thing I do, whether I'm building a very complicated set of headers or I'm building a simple, should I say, set of headers like this, I always weld a 1-inch piece to the flange. Always. Don't try to fight fitting that pipe when you're sitting here trying to fit things up and look at it. Don't fight that. Always take your flange, put it on your table, cut you some 1-inch pieces of pipe, go ahead and tack them in place and leave them. Tack them up in place and bolt it on the car. It's a lot easier to fit that pipe to another piece of pipe than it is trying to fit that pipe up here to a hole in a flange. It just makes it hard on you. Look, if you're going to tackle building a set of headers, it's no problem for you to weld one more weld up 1 inch out from the flange. That's just something I do, and it's very, very, very helpful. The second thing I do, I got some blocks of wood and a jack. I've got my flange done. I got my little 1-inch piece of pipe extended out. When I'm gonna do a set of these headers like this for these hot rods, these open like roadster style headers, number one, let me tell you what this is. This is a Oldsmobile rocket engine from the 50s. It come in, if you've been watching this, with little straight pipes on it. And basically it looked like crap, so we're changing it. So what we done is I kept the flange because this flange is kind of hard to come by and I didn't want to order it. So basically what I done is I went to Speedway, which is one of the best selections for these type of kits, and I got a Y-block Ford header kit, which was very reasonable. Basically, I cut the pipes off the flanges, cleaned them up, bolted them back on, and there you go. So you could get this whole kit for like, I think like $225. I mean, there you go. That gives you your bends and gives you a piece of pipe. Now it ain't, you know, you got to fit and design, but it still works out great. But going back to once I get this look, get my flange on, got my pipe on, I want to get my look. That goes back to these jacks again. These jacks that I told y'all before, these things are the handiest things in the world. I take a couple of blocks of wood, I put my jack under there, I kind of get this where I want it, kind of tack it up, and I put my jack under this side, kind of tack it up, and I get that look. And I stand back and I'll look at the car, and I want to make sure, I like for this to be parallel with the ground, or you could let it shoot down. They look good when they're shooting down toward the ground. You got to take time and get this look right, because this could kill it. You can take a set of headers and put on these cars and kill it in a minute. Take your time getting that initial first header done and get the look that you want. So now that I've got this tacked up, I tacked it there, I got my jack under here, I've raised it, and Lord, I got it where I want. Now here's another trick I do. I take a piece of rod and I weld it to the flange, and I weld it to right here. To what we're gonna call, I guess you would call this a bell or funnel. Let's just call it a funnel. I like things that's simple and very simplistic. It's a funnel. I tack this off real hard, and I tack this off real hard. Almost pretty much welded. Then I take the header off the car. I don't build the header on the car. I've got this pipe in place. I've got this where I want it. I don't need to do no more work on the car. I need to take this header now somewhere where it's friendly for me to work on it. Now that I've got my rod welded to it, and I've got it tacked off hard here, I've got it tacked off here, I'm gonna take it off. I'm gonna take it off and I'm gonna clamp it down to the table, and then I'm gonna start building it on the table. Then I can sit there and get all my fits perfect and get it just like I want it. We're here at the table now. Now granted, I've already welded this header up to a degree. It's about 90% welded. Once I got that rod welded to this header, I take it off the car and now I clamp it down to my table. And you want to clamp these flanges down. Hopefully in your shop you got a decently flat welding table, because the straighter you keep this flange when you weld all this up, the better it's going to be on you as far as exhaust leaks and whatnot. But I'll be honest with you, we got a big belt sander next door, and when I'm done with this, I will still go touch the flange up on a belt sander. If you don't have a belt sander, somebody around your town does. Your local engine builder guys usually have them big belt sanders to do their heads on or clean up exhaust manifolds and stuff on. Go hit one of them up, let them touch up your flange and get it good and true. Now the reason I've clamped this on here like this, it's just easier to work. Now we had this pipe and we had a rod welded on. We didn't have this pipe, or this pipe. But now, except for what I was telling you all ago about welding little shorts on, that's what I'm talking about. I literally tacked all four of these little short pieces of pipe on. Now, this is at an angle because the way this Oldsmobile engine is, the flange, here's the engine, literally points down toward the ground. So I come up with the angle here and it's angled. So I could go straight out so I can get my bolt in and out. Neither here or there. Always put you some little pieces of pipe, round an inch, tack them onto your flange and leave them. It just makes it a whole lot easier on you. Here is your friend, and it's a die grinder. When you're doing these headers, it takes a while. It takes me a while fitting this pipe and getting this hole just perfect for that pipe to slip in. I always keep the pipe long, about an inch, inch and a half long. You keep fitting it in the hole, fitting it here, and fitting your hole right here. The tighter you get this to fit, the easier it's going to weld, the better it's going to look, and you're not going to blow holes. Once I have got, let's just say here's a pipe before I started, and I've cut it here, and I've got it matched up here, and I've got to be 1.5 inches sticking through. I put it in, I take a Sharpie, I fit it. I take that out, and then I cut, and I leave the Sharpie mark, and then I leave a 1/16 on top of that. So 60 to 80 thousandths plus the Sharpie mark, which is about the thickness of this tube. You don't want to go in no farther than you have to. That's an obstruction on exhaust gas. But you want it to go through enough not to blow holes. That's just a tip. Once you do it this way, it's so easy. You know, it took me about, well, actually it took me about 2.5, 3 hours just to put these tubes in right here. It's fitted, they're tight, they're not gonna leak, and it looks good. And if you look at it, it's uniform. There's a mark, if you see it here, I actually take a straight edge and put me a mark, and all my tubes are coming in on that same line. I can do this, you can do this. As long as you got a MIG gun, a welder, and a little bit of time. Now granted, I've got an upright bandsaw. Another trick that you can do is if you own a porta-band and you got a vise, clamp your porta-band up in your vise. It ain't, you know, OSHA might get you. Tape this damn trigger on it and go to town, and you can make you an upright bandsaw. I've done it for years before I had an upright bandsaw. I'd stand a porta-band up in a vise, clamp it, tape the trigger, and that was how I did my cuts on pipe. So it can be done. I hope this helps you. This is just a simple set of headers. We're actually going to do a new set of headers for the Boogie Man in about 2 weeks. So, and it's going to be a long tube style set. And I'll do some video on that, because when they get to, like I said, when they start rolling over each other, when these pipes start rolling over each other like this and like that, it's a little bit more complicated. The layout work of getting the cuts right on the pipe is the tricky part. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let me know. Put it in the comment, man. We'll talk to you. We always answer, and we'll always try to do what we can. Stay tuned, though. Don't forget about Boogie Tech Racing Products. Like us on Facebook, okay? We're on Facebook. Go to the page, like it, and follow. The website's under construction right now. It will be up in a matter of a couple of weeks. Instagram. Instagram actually is my Boogie 1963 page. But stay tuned, we may actually do a racing products page. Our ladder bars are all but done. In fact, they are done, but I don't want to show them yet because we got a rear bracket system we're coming up with. It's going to go along with the ladder bar kit. Stay tuned next week. Hopefully we'll have you the ladder bars so you can see them. I call them trailing arms. Some people are getting confused, okay? So I may have to go back and call them ladder bars, but to me, they look more like a trailing arm. We're gonna call them trailing arms / ladder bars. So not only is the Boogie Tech Racing Products page about all the racing stuff we do, it's also the apparel page for the Boogie Man gasser. Keep that in mind if you want a t-shirt, and people message me all the time about a t-shirt and this and that. We'll have t-shirts available on there with the shipping. Stay tuned. Stay tuned to Boogie Tech, the channel. Stay tuned to Boogie Tech, the racing products. Stay tuned to Boogie Man Gasser. Stay tuned to the Boogie Man. Chris Dunn, aka the Boogie Man. That's too much Boogie Man, but there you go.